So, if you couldn't already tell by the title, yes, I have made an obby. And, I'm actually playing on it right now on a public server so I can record it at better quality. Because I tell you, recording in the studio is, not very fun. So, just letting you know, this is, it's for a class I was doing, and, it's for a class I was doing. It's something I forgot about since I was like overwhelmed with work for a bit, and when I realized it was still going, yeah, you know, I took the opportunity and just jumped straight back onto it. And making this game was one of the tasks I was supposed to do. And honestly, I'd love to explain every single room one by one, but as you know, I do not have the time for that, nor do I. Or we have the time for that, I should say, because if I were to, this video would probably last 1 hour long, and we don't have time for that. So, there was one requirement, and that was being the obby had to be at least 8 minutes long. Thankfully, I have a beautiful timer here that we can just start right now, actually, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So obviously we have our regular spawn room, Undertale by Toby Fox, and all that fun jazz, because, you know, I cannot make obbies for the life of me, nor can I design maps. So we start off with the Flowey room, which gives us our first save point, and just keep in mind, you're going to be seeing a lot of random like NPCs or characters or people, and just know that they're all there for a reason. Like, it's not like they're all placed randomly. Like, all of them have a purpose, is what I'm trying to say. They weren't, like, all placed there for, like, no reason. All of them serve a special, like take this dummy, for instance. Like, if you were to walk up to him, you would see he has an E, and you can talk to him. So, and obviously, since I'm just showcasing the whole, just the hardcore platforming itself, we're gonna be skipping over a lot of that. But, to explain the first room you just saw, in Undertale, I don't know if you know, but in the original game, for its attacks, they consist of, I think, of 2 patterns. They consist of the first one being, where he just jumps at you, and the second one being where he just flies at you. And I figured I would just reprimand that in those rooms over there. And by the way, sorry if I'm like skipping over rooms or I'm like forgetting to say things. I have gotten no sleep as of recently because I have been working my butt off trying to get this obby finished, and I tell you, it was not fun at all. Making the obby was fun, learning how to script was fun, but getting no sleep, not fun. Not fun at all. So yeah, moving on from that. So this obby, obviously, as you can see, has a lot of references in it to a lot of things, because this isn't like a, like a regular normal obby where, like, you stand on, like, the sky, you gotta jump over, like, 10 million platforms for, like, no reason to get to the end. This is more of an adventure type obby, I'd say, where you kind of just walk through different puzzles or obstacles and you get to the end, you know? So, obviously, talking about more rooms before us, the room that Creeper was in is actually in Undertale. When you fall down into that specific pit, normally when you walk through the door, you get teleported straight back up to the top. But I figured since this is an obby, instead of teleporting you, why don't we just, you know, make you climb up? I figured that'd be a lot more obby-esque, you know? And obviously we have the other rooms before us, as best as we can make it. And obviously we have Roblox references. There are going to be a lot of references in the spawn rooms, because I figured... Okay, before I explain the spawn rooms, I have a lot of things to talk about. But let me explain this. The freaking Napstablook fight. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, the Blookie fight was my make or break moment. Designing this fight Honestly, just learning the scripts and the teleporters and all the timers so the attacks wouldn't offset each other. Because I had to keep in mind that if multiple people were playing on this server, there would be a lot of attacks going on all at once. So you see this little platform you're standing on? It has a timer on it. Just like all the other attacks, they have a timer on them. Like this one, for instance. It has a timer on it. And when the timer runs out, the attack ends, and the next attack begins. And obviously the timer runs out, the next attack begins, and obviously the people inside get teleported out, and then you get slammed in, and you have to go through the attack. That's basically it, highly summed up. And back to the spawn room while we're taking a stroll here. I've decided to make all the spawn rooms glamorous because you know, if you die there, sometimes you just want to vibe. Or when you reach a spawn room, sometimes you just want to vibe. Like, sometimes people just want to vibe. So I figured, hey, why not make the spawn rooms absolutely freaking glamorous? And to explain this room, in Undertale, when you reach this room, normally there would be 3 froggets and a frogget just sitting over there. And, when you touch the frogget, not when you touch the frogget, when I was making the room, I was thinking, you know, I have to make this more obstacle-y-like. So I figured, if I wanted to make it more obstacle-y-like, why not just, you know, make it a long, tedious walk? So, when you reach the end, you finally get to start running again. Obviously, you can talk to the frogs that are, like, lined up there. It would be like a swallow time, but as that room summed up. But if you're wondering what those are are actually a reference to Vegetoid, who is also a monster in the ruins, who basically just hurls vegetables at you, tells you to eat your green. Some of the vegetables heal you, but I didn't have the coding skills for that. And we're now in the button room, which is basically hit the right button, you get to the next level, hit the wrong one, you fall through the floor. Except for this one, you don't fall through the floor, you just keep running. Or you get teleported to the wrong room, I should say. And I don't think I explained the lever room. The lever room had a premise where you fall in, and you were supposed to pull a lever, which would take you into the next, which would which would drop the spikes. And when the spikes dropped, they would you would be able to proceed. But I figured I'd make it more obby-like and just make you walk through a little hallway while you you know, continue. And obviously we're at home. I knew home was the most important part of the obby. So obviously there's a lot of like NPCs, references, dialogue, you name it, it's probably there. But since we are speedrunning and showcasing this obby to show that the raw length is 8 minutes long, we are just going to proceed as normal. Now, we're moving on to tutorial. Now, tutorial is the reason I have gotten no sleep. And for good reason. Yep, and we're going on with tutorial. Now keep in mind, with these attack patterns, I tried to design them... Okay, as I was saying before I frickin' perished, I tried to make the attacks as close to the original Undertale as I possibly could, but I guess you gotta give me the benefit of the doubt here. Like, some of them were just like... And also, I forgot to playtest this during, like, the actual Roblox. I playtested all of this in Studio, so some of these attacks may not look like how I imagined them. And honestly, that only applied to the first one. Everything else I'm pretty sure is going to be fine, especially this one, which honestly has killed me a lot during playtesting. But once you get the pattern down, it's not that hard. Just gotta jump to the side. But, moving on from all that, I think I remember seeing another thing where basically it said like something about like copyright and stuff and fair use and all that, and I'm just telling you right now, if you want me to make an obby that will take literally 2 hours long to make, and literally zero effort whatsoever, and like, you know, just a bunch of air and platforming jumping, just tell me. Just tell me right now. Because I'll do it, and it'll take me like no time at all. But back to tutorial. Obviously, she's gonna take a while, because obviously the fight herself took a while, so it only makes sense if this fight took a while. And honestly, I don't really know what else to say. This is kind of the climax of the obby. Obviously, I skipped over a lot of dialogue, a lot of NPCs. There was going to be a lot of, you know, talking to do. So this is just basically the raw obby. By the way, the 8-minute timer already went off, so I guess you're not going to be listening to that. But I probably have a little bit of tweaking to do, but this is just the raw obby itself. Honestly, yeah, I really don't know what else to say. This is kind of it. Obviously, there was a lot of rooms I probably didn't explain. The dialogue boxes are as funny as ever. I guess I can explain more of how the attack system works and gets more in depth. That was not supposed to happen. But, essentially, how it's supposed to work. To explain it a little more, just like to remind you, everything runs on a timer. So, okay, these are not working, but obviously everything runs on a timer. And, okay, how do I explain this in a way everyone can understand? So, when I walked into the mercy button, obviously I was standing on a platform. Now, the attack under me would go on while I was standing on the platform, and I would have a timer set on each of the attacks, to where the platform would drop as soon as the attack would end. And obviously with those last 2 attacks, it didn't go so well. I'll probably have to fix that later. But as the attack goes on, people will drop in. And I tried to think of all the offsets. Because, like, what if you dropped in on an attack as soon as it started? That wouldn't be fair. You would just perish. Or what if you dropped in on an attack as soon as people get teleported out? Again, that also wouldn't be fair. You would just skip the entirety of the attack. So to code out the offset, I would have the players wait on the platform, and while the other people are going through the attack, they're waiting up there, and then as soon as it ends, they get dropped in, the players get teleported out, and then it rinse repeats. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much to say here. So obviously that's the end of the tutorial fight. You're left off on this long hallway. And obviously if you were to like try to get everything or try to see everything in this obby, it would probably be like much long. Like it may not have seemed like much, it may not have looked like much, and honestly at first glance just speedrunning through all of it, it didn't seem like much, but trust me, I skipped a lot. But yeah, that's it. Just gonna leave everyone on this roof, god damn it, because I have to fix my sleep schedule, because I have gotten no sleep as of recently, and I am very tired, which is probably why I can't speak and overlooked a couple of bugs that I probably am gonna have to fix. But, yeah, that's essentially it. Obviously a link to play it will be in the description. I probably kind of have to put it there anyways. And this is probably going to be one of the only times I'm going to ask people to tell me what you think, because I take these type of things kind of seriously. I mean, I had fun doing this. It's not like I hated it. Learning how to script and obviously designing the entirety of the ruins was pretty fun. I had a blast. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's kind of all I have to say, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna go knock out on my bed now. Good night.